بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
I want to talk to you just to give you some encouragement. And it's also like a big slap on the face for all of us. And it is on the face. There was a man who lived. He was born in 1856 in Liverpool. And in 1889, he established what was essentially Britain's first Islamic center. He was, like myself, a revert. He was a solicitor by trade. And he was a very caring person. He was a person that if this person, like we see so many of these type of people outside, that if they accepted Islam, they could be a real tour de force. This person was none other than Henry William Abdullah Quilliam. And you think that this name, Quilliam, is associated with another group, don't you? But you're wrong. Because I just can't believe how somebody can take the name Quilliam and destroy it overnight. But if you look into the life of this man, if you look into the works of this man, after he took the Shahada, truly it is an example for many of us in this room today. For example, amongst all of the things that he achieved, hundreds, of course, of reverts resulted from the work that he implemented. He was recognized by the Sultan of Morocco, the Shah of Persia, and the Sultan of Afghanistan. In fact, the Afghanistani Sultan gave him a gift of £2,500 to set up the masjid in Liverpool. How things change. He held lectures on Islam in Liverpool. He had two publications, The Crescent and the Islamic Review. He had weekly Islamic debates with senior professionals, scientists, etc. And by the end of all of this, of course, many of the scientists embraced Islam, and the professionals that he was talking to embraced Islam, including his mother, who was actually a Christian missionary for many years, and his son. He opened and he instituted a place called Medina Home for illegitimate children. And in Liverpool at that time, there were many illegitimate children, and the state wouldn't recognize them and deal with them. So he used to take them on board under his wing, and he used to look after those people. And he used to find homes for those children, and he would sort them out legally. He also had a Muslim college, as I say, a weekly debating society. He wrote Muslim Nasheeds, and he used to play these Nasheeds every Sunday to all the people in the locality. So instead of them going to church, he used to call them to listen to these Nasheeds. And these Nasheeds, of course, were all about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They were all based upon Tawheed. He also published a book, The Faith of Islam, and it was translated and sent around the world into 13 different languages. Queen Victoria read this book. He actually opened the masjid. Now this is incredible. Now think about where you are in Birmingham, and think about how many masjids would even think about doing this. He opened the masjid on Christmas Day, and his gift to the children, the poverty-stricken children of Liverpool, was he invited them to a free meal that day to enlighten them, to give them some barakah, to give them some blessing, Can you imagine us today opening a masjid and inviting the poorest people in the UK to attend the opening of that masjid? I don't think it's going to happen. And this is surely the difference between us and a person like Abdullah Quilliam. His whole rhetoric, his whole thought process was, how can I implement the sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam here in Liverpool in the year 1889? 120 years later, where are we, brothers and sisters? Where is Medina? Where is the Medina house? Where are the debating circles? Where are all of these things that I have mentioned? Where are we, mu'min, Muslims, who loves the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam more than he loves himself? Why don't we demonstrate that we have that love? Why? All of this comes down, really essentially, my brothers and sisters. And this example I've read to you, if we compare the life of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his determination sallallahu alaihi wasallam to make sure this message went out to the world regardless of race, color, culture or creeds, and compared to the 120 years we've been here since Abdullah Quilliam was there, and in 1908 he had to leave the country, and you compare it to the time that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam indulged in the da'wah, and from the day he received wahi to the day he died, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had achieved that the message had gone from ocean to ocean, from China to Portugal, and we can't even do it in an island, a tiny little insignificant island. This geography of this country, you can go from the furthest point to the furthest point in one day easily. And then the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they did not have internet. The Sahaba Ikram, they did not have internet or mobile phones. They didn't have satellite television. They didn't even have postal service. So where does it put us? In the eyes of Allah, where does it put us, my brothers and sisters? I'm reprimanding myself because I have more to face Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day of judgment, because I am from these islands and I should have been doing it 10 years ago. It was only when I met Abdul Rahim Green outside his house in Clapham, after attending one of his circles, which is the only thing I used to do, was just attend one circle a week, which I thought was enough. And he came to me and he said, Yusuf, what are you doing for the Dawah? What are you doing for your iERA? What are you doing for the British people to explain to them their religion? I said, look, I'm bringing my children up and I'm looking after my wife and I attend your weekly circle. That's enough. He said, it's not enough. You need to fear Allah. If that is you, my brothers, and if that is you, my sisters, this is what you're doing. I'm telling you the same thing. He gave me the message, I'm going to give you the message. It is not enough. In the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when Allah resurrects us on the day of judgment, on the day of reckoning, when we are standing next to people that we thought we knew but we don't recognize them now because we're so worried about the things that we didn't do and the things that we did which were wrong. When this person who was our neighbor in Birmingham, or our work colleague in Birmingham for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving reckoning to you, and then next, this is the person you never gave dawah to. What will this person say? Oh Allah, I plead with you that I live next door to Ahmed, next door to Sumaya, next door to this one and that one, and they never said anything about what you are telling me about now. What will be your condition, my brothers and sisters? What will be my condition? I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us fulfill the obligation of the individual obligation of giving da'wah. Not just to learn the verse and keep it behind your backs.